I used to have very intense and crazy dreams as a kid. I was 2-3 years old. I was in a dream and I was waking up. I was in a dream. I was waking up. I was in a dream. I would lose sense of reality at some point during my night because I wasn't sure if I was in a dream or if I was in my room. And I used to have a lot of sleep paralysis. You are fully awake, but you cannot move any part of your body.
Were you scared?
I was so scared. I used to run to my parents' room. A lot of yogis and Tibetan monks want to have access to those states of consciousness. My biggest fear as a kid, which is being stuck in a dream, pretty much in another dimension, is somebody else's dream of highest level of consciousness. I'm slowly changing the equilibrium and the pendulum of what was once a fear into, oh, actually, maybe that's a superpower.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. So, Yannis, before I even start, is it just Yannis Goldman? Is it Yannis? Yannis? Like, how do you pronounce it?
So, my name is Yannis, born de la Ruelle, which is very French. And Goldman is something that came along my journey through connecting with the divine and also with being myself. Because what I've realized is, as I grew, I was connecting with people deeply, and a special thing is activating people's heart. And so Goldman came to me as a way to embody the person that brings the gold out of people's heart. So that's why Yannis Goldman de la Ruelle is who I am now.
That is so beautiful, and it's so unique because people, they pick Shakti and Shiva and try to embody that, but to pick a name that's bringing the gold out of the heart, that's so beautiful.
Gold is also in the metals, right? The highest frequencies, from lead to silver to copper. And in the Hermeticism, which is like the ancient philosophy and religion of Egypt, gold was represented as the highest level of consciousness. And then above gold, like the alchemists used to work with gold, right? Turn lead into gold. Above gold, you disappear because you become one with the universe. So gold is actually the highest level of consciousness in terms of what alchemists used to say, where after that, you become one with the universe.
That brings thoughts of Egypt to such another level. I was watching a documentary recently on them searching for Cleopatra's tomb, and there was so much gold.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, wow, how did they have all that gold and gemstone back then? It was more of wealth. It was spiritual.
It was more spiritual than money.
Wow.
Because of the frequency it has.
Yeah. They were buried with gold. They were bringing themselves to the light.
To the highest level of consciousness.
Highest level of consciousness with gold. Wow. So we're already jumping in. I know with Yannis and I, we're going to talk a million things. Tell our audience about yourself.
Yeah. So I was born and raised in Paris, France. Grew up in a household with a lot of diversity. My mom, inheritance being from Senegal, Western Africa, and my dad being French, Greek, and having a lot of Middle Eastern descendants. I grew up in a house where everything was open-minded. We had no restriction with religion. We had no restriction with friends. We had no restriction with food. Discovering the world the way you want to discover it. And so at a young age, I was exposed to traveling to a lot of different cultures and countries because my parents were working for traveling companies. And I got to explore the world. And the more I was discovering the world, the more I was understanding that there was so much more than what we are experiencing in our day-to-day. And I had the opportunity to start playing basketball. And then that opportunity led me to the United States. I got a scholarship when I was 15 years old. So I left my house at 15 years old to come to the US to pursue the American dream. I did my high school here in Florida. And then I went to college in Minnesota. And after Minnesota, I decided to go back home in France for a little bit. I felt like I needed to reconnect with my roots, with my people. I truly believe in my personal philosophy in the 5 pillars of success. The 5 pillars of success are: one is your purpose, which is aligned with you and God and the universe, or your highest self, or the best version of you in the future that you're working toward to realize. Then it's everything that is physical, mental, and spiritual that helps you be that best person that you are. And then it's your social circle, your friends, your family, the places you live. Then you have your passion, which is everything that brings light into your heart and your soul. It could be painting, it could be playing music, it could be writing, it could be whatever that is for you. And the last one is actually money. And not money the way we see it in this world. Money as a way to add to your creative energy. So money is like a proxy to realize the things you want to realize. And so at the time when I was finishing with the university, I felt like really wanting to reconnect with my family and my people. So I came back to France, had the best time for 1 year, and then decided to come back to the US. And I had the opportunity to meet my first mentor, who is an investor in real estate. And I got to have my first internship in real estate, which led me to gradually grow within the company, get a full-time job with them. Here I've been 7 years with them, and here I am.
Amazing. So first of all, I want to talk about that going home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think for people, it's good to understand your roots, and roots are not just your ancestors. Sometimes it's where you grew up. And I find for me, I've lived in 4 or 5 different cities, and between every city, I always went back to Massachusetts. And there was something about going back there that grounded me and filled me up to be able to tackle the world and to find that next step. So I love that you knew to go home. So that's amazing. You are that success story of the American dream. You came here and pursued a career, and you're still doing that, correct?
I'm still doing real estate.
Doing the real estate. Big thing here in Miami, the real estate.
Yeah, but what we do is I work for an investment company, and we buy shopping center all over the US. Actually started doing like the lowest job you can do in the company. And the way actually I got my internship is super funny. And I think it's important to share this story because the lesson that comes from it are important lessons that if you apply them in your life, you can create a lot of things and start living a lot of your dreams a reality. So I came here 2017 for spring break, and I was hanging out with one of my best friends, which is the son of my mentor. And then he took us into his office and he showed us what he was doing. And he told, me and another friend and his son, if you guys find me a deal, if you guys find me a property to buy, I'll give you a fee. And I was like, oh, say less. So then what happened is I went back to school, and then I was messaging him every day, or calling him every day, or emailing him every day for like a couple of months to get an internship and work for him for free. And every time he was like pushing no, until one time he said yes. And then after I ended up finding a deal while being an intern, which kind of sealed the deal. And from there, I got another internship, went full time. Now I'm the vice president of acquisition in this position and overview all the buying and selling of the shopping centers within the company.
Wow.
But it all came because of persistency, and also because when we connected, there was a whisper in my mind. I call those whispers when the universe is telling you something, or when the world is telling you something, where your heart gets light up a little bit. When you feel aligned that there is a future here, you have to follow through.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And it brought me here, and that's why I'm here now with you.
What that brings for me is last week, Dana Picher was on here and she was talking about conviction. And you had that conviction. Mm-hmm. And we also talk a lot about those signs. So Yannis is saying that little whisper for him, there was something that lit up his heart. That's where you're in alignment, is when you are conscious and paying attention to those things that they come, and then having that conviction to follow that dream. He would not have gotten that opportunity to be with that man had he not pursued it and called him all the time. If you had just said, oh, I'd love to do that, and you didn't go after it, he wasn't going to be chasing you.
No.
And I think another thing to point out for our audience is a second mention on a podcast here about mentors and finding a mentor. really important. You find someone that they're doing what you want to do, you see if you can get them to mentor you. You find someone that's doing what you want to do, is successful at what you want to do, and they're going to help to show you a way. But for everyone else out there, be a mentor. There are young people out there that need our wisdom and need our help. So find a mentor when you need it and become a mentor when you have the opportunity.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think it's like what's my mom instilled that in our DNA with me and my sisters, because since we're kids, we always had tutors and teachers outside of school to be better. And I think why we were able to be successful in school and outside of school, because we're putting the effort outside of the time frame that the school will give you, or the sports will give you, or the activity will give you, because you're fully dedicating your time to it.
Honestly, I think I want to have your parents on to talk about parenting, because it sounds like they really had a very beautiful household and allowed you guys to explore and become, but also to support you in the things that you were pursuing. So that's really beautiful. And I want to say to your parents, thank you for allowing all that in your life.
I thank them as well, for sure.
So let's get into your spiritual world. You know, people have come on here. Some people have near-death experiences. They have dark night of the soul, and it wakes them up. But then there's those of us, it's always been there. There just needed to be something to bring it out and awaken. I feel for me, I always believed in the other worlds. I always knew that there was more out there. And it wasn't that I needed to have a dark night of the soul. I just needed to be in the environment to awaken everything within me, and for me to know everything I felt was possible is possible. So tell us about your spiritual path.
So my spiritual path. So by the way, remember I was telling you, I was going to tell you what I think it is to be spiritual.
Yes.
And so in today's world, there's so much information. So many people are telling us what it is to be spiritual, what it feels like to be spiritual. You see all these TikToks, all these videos on Instagram. It's like, talk to the crystal, talk to the tree, go grounding, go meditate, go do ayahuasca, go this, go do that, go sleep deprivation. It's like, oh my God. So like, what is the path to spirituality? What do you mean it is to be spiritual? And then I was meditating on it. And for me, my definition of being spiritual is, how much are you connected to source? And when you focus on just how much you're connected to source, then anything can be spiritual. And that's why you realize every religion is actually spiritual. Every practice that you do that connects to your higher self and to flow and to the universe, the world, and to service. That's what, for me, what it means to be spiritual. So my spiritual journey, I know started very early. And I haven't shared this broadcastedly yet, but so I used to have very intense and crazy dreams as a kid. I remember dreams when I was 2-3 years old.
Wow.
And my dreams was, I was in a dream and I was waking up. I was in a dream. I was waking up. I was in a dream. I was waking up in my room, but in a dream. And then I was waking up. And what happened is I would lose sense of reality at some point during my night, because I wasn't sure if I was in a dream or if I was in my room. And sometimes I was in my room and there was things in my rooms. There was like activity happening in my rooms. I didn't know, when I opened my eyes, and I used to have a lot of sleep paralysis. So
explain to our audience what sleep paralysis is.
Sleep paralysis is pretty much in the middle of the night, or it could be when you're napping or whenever, you are fully awake, but you cannot move any part of your body. And it's actually the states you want to get to in order to have an out-of-body experience. So as a kid, I was entering these states every night, but I was so aware at like 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. So I used to sleep with my parents.
I was going to say, were you scared?
I was so scared. I used to run to my parents' room and actually slept with them until I was 12 years old. I used to be afraid of the dark because of not being sure whether my reality was real or was not real at the time I was waking up. And the only thing that made me realize it was real was to be in my parents' presence.
Did it happen when you were in their bed too?
No.
The dreams didn't,
No.
You didn't have that. This is lucid dreaming, right? In technical terms, I feel like it's lucid dreaming.
It was but multiple layers of it.
And as a child, now, did you try to explain to your parents at all?
Oh, I was my mom who was just visiting recently, just told me. I was like, so I used to watch The Lion King a lot. Lion King was my movie. I watched it so many times where I think broke the DVR, I think. And I used to tell my mom, Mom, I'm seeing Rafiki over the window. He's telling me all these things. Da, 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 da. Mom, there's this over there, blah, blah, blah. There's this. And she's like, okay, like, kids, kids, great imagination. But when it happens for like 10 years, what I mean? So I've always been very close to my dreams. I remember pretty much all my dreams every night. Actually write them down every day. So dreams are actually the gateway to your subconscious. They're the gateway to which you can understand who you are inside. And some others use dreams as the ways to connect with vivid dreams, other realms of existence, with astral projecting and whatnot.
Will you explain what is astral projecting?
Of course. Astral projecting is pretty much when you are liberating your consciousness from your body and you are entering the spiritual world, right? The etheric world. And it's like entering the dream world. So like, when you dream, you're awake, you're having conversation, you might see dead people, you might see people that you never met before, you might connect with things you've never seen.
Are you awake? Or are you asleep? Or at what
you're
brain
awake.
Level are you
You're
at?
awake. The brain waves are delta, theta brain waves, but mainly delta. If you're in delta brain waves and you're awake, that's when you technically have vivid dreams or out-of-body experiences.
Okay, so as a child, you had these dreams. Wow. At some point, were you able to make sense of this? What happened at 12? Did something shift as you were maturing, growing into yourself?
Yeah, I think what happened for me, looking back at it, is I was able to calibrate my nervous system to not be afraid anymore. And also the thing that started developing over time is when I was fearing something was to do that exact thing I was fearing. So if I was afraid of being in the dark, I was consciously turning off the light to stay in the dark. That's what happened over time. And then I became okay with it and I overcame my fear.
They say with lucid dreaming, it is that fact that it's not real. I was discussing with someone recently and they said, I don't get scared because I know it's not real.
It's a dream.
When people wake up from in a nightmare and they're scared, with lucid dreaming, it's a dream and you can change the reality of the dream. She said that she would be there and there'd be all this horrible stuff, but she could
realize it's a dream
and change it or go somewhere else. So I find it very fascinating. Yeah.
I used to close my eyes so hard and I would wake up. So I knew how to, over time, wake up from my dreams in order not to deal with whatever was coming from me.
Wow.
Until one time I realized I stayed up in that dream and my dream shifted right away. And so as I'm growing up and learning more about this stuff, in lucid dreamings, what happened is you can shift the dream because you're aware and you're the master of your brain and your mind. But when you're aware, you can control your thoughts, right? It's kind of like meditation. And it happened over time gradually. And I think that's also probably one of the reasons why I was not as much scared, because I was becoming more aware, more confident, more comfortable with these things that was happening. And the crazy story is a lot of yogis and Tibetan monks want to have access to those states of consciousness because those allow them to really tap in within the subconscious and understand part of themselves that they don't necessarily understand. My biggest fear as a kid, which is being stuck in a dream, pretty much in another dimension, is somebody else's dream of highest level of consciousness. So it's like, I'm slowly changing the equilibrium and the pendulum of what was once a fear into, actually, maybe that's a superpower.
Yeah, it's a gift for sure. And I think this conversation is happening for our audience who are out there who have little children. If these stories are coming from your children, don't think they're crazy and they're just children and it's their imagination. Understand that they could be lucid dreaming and it's not something that can be controlled. So it's like, this is real.
It's real.
And what they're seeing is real. Help them understand it and study it. So thank you for sharing that aspect of your journey.
I had to share this because I feel like I was so quiet about this. And even my parents were okay. They were supporting me. They would tell me, come with us, sleep with us. They never said, you're crazy or this and that. But I never really openly talked about it. But that was a real experience.
Yeah.
And then as I'm growing up, more people are experiencing these things. And I'm like, wait, so how many people in the world are experiencing something that it could cause them trauma, that could cause them to not be happy, that could cause them to break their relationship, and they're not sharing it with someone else? Because what I understood in the last couple of years is our community is the way to really feel protected, because you're not alone. You're not alone in the struggle. You're not alone in the pain. And when there's more than one mind focused on something, then that's how you can elevate much faster and quicker. And then you feel seen, you feel loved, you feel understood. So that's why I wanted to really talk about it. When I'm 15 years old, I wanted to become a better student because I felt like I was good. I had very good grades, but I wanted to be even better. I don't know why. I wanted to have a better memory. I wanted to be more efficient so I could focus more on basketball and have fun. And so I came across this study, which is the Mozart effect, which is you can alternate your brain waves by listening to classical music. And by doing so, you can study better, you can focus better, you can remember more things. So I started to listen to classical music, and that was my first way and my first entry into biohacking and self-development.
Wow.
I just started reading books like How to Win Friends and Influence People. Like I was 17 years old, right?
By the way, that was my dad's favorite.
Really?
100%. To this day, that book is still relevant.
It's so important. Yeah. I remember I was reading it and I was practicing it with my teachers, and I was smiling and I was like asking all these questions and stuff. I was like, oh, so cool. And then I just started stacking books on books and books, and I started reading and reading. And then I was just so immersed with the fact that with controlling your mind, with controlling yourself, with learning how to meditate, with learning how to be with the world, you can change your reality. You can change your mind. You can make more money. You can achieve success. And everything was a drive to be a better student, to be a better athlete, to be a better son, to be a better friend, to attract more girlfriends. You know, it was always a drive to be better. And so that over time progressed. And in college, I'm starting to go into binaural beats, learning how to use certain frequencies to change your brain waves. So you have alpha, beta, theta, gamma, and depending on the frequencies, you can have different level of intuition and understanding of self, right? So if you're in a theta brainwave, this is the brainwave you use if you want to reprogram your mind. A lot of hypnotists use that brainwave in order to change beliefs. In theta healing, they use that theta brainwave in order to change the beliefs as well. You know, when you're in alpha, you're in an elevated state of awareness. So like you're meditative, so you're very relaxed, but then sometimes you're very aware of everything around you. And when you're in beta, it's like as if you're working out, you're at the gym, you're in your day-to-day. So I was learning all these things outside of studying, you know, finance and accounting because I was so into it. So I used to wake up early. I used to meditate. I used to do stretching. I used to do sauna. And I used to have all these journals and lists of different things I needed to do. And then over time that grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. And then I felt like my real spiritual growth happened in the last 3 years when I really wanted to dive in within myself and heal my traumas and my family traumas and my ancestral traumas and things that I was not aware of that was triggering me, right? So I started to learn different modality. I ended up getting certificated in Reiki. I'm a master Reiki. I came across sound healing, and all of these things just like accelerated in the last year and a half, you know. But I think the real switch happened was when I published this book.
Okay, we're going to get into the book. So, wow. And what is so incredible is, first of all, your curiosity. And audience curiosity, and I find for me too, is the key to a lot of stuff in life, is when you're curious and then you're going to learn. But find what works for you. Maybe it's books, maybe it's audio. Now we have audiobooks. Now there's movies. There's so many ways to learn, but it's having that curiosity. And I wanted to ask if you got burnt out, but I'm thinking because of all the meditation and because you were putting these skills into your life, you didn't get burnt out. But what you said is you got to the point, now I need the healing. So that's interesting that you had the tools and the meditation and the structure within your life to be living life the way you wanted to manifest, you bring in a reality that was good, but then you hit a point of, wait a second, there's more that I can shed. There's more I can create within my own self to elevate.
Of course.
So that's beautiful. So you came to a point of you had these skills, and I want our audience to see that there's so much out there, and that's why we're here, is to let people know of all of these tools that are there for people for healing. So meditation is great, but sometimes that's not enough.
Journaling is great as well.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not enough. Hypnosis is great. Maybe that's not enough. Maybe you need to listen to sound. Maybe you need to just go for a walk or workout, activate your body, because you can heal a lot of your actual tension and trauma within your cells by just lifting and adding blood flow and oxygen. That's why there's breath work. So everyone loves breath work. You don't have to think. You're just breathing. You're breathing every day anyways, right? So
is there something significant that happened or was brought an awareness that made you say, wait a second, I have things to heal?
So what I've realized is it's kind of every time in my life I was hitting a plateau or something was happening, I was shown the way to overcome that. So a way I got more into meditation was when I was in college. I actually got injured. And that was my first injury. I've never got injured before. I never got operated before. I don't even know really what it means to be going to the hospital. And so I was kind of depressed. So I had to find ways to overcome the depression, overcome the fact that I'm not able to do the things that I really wanted to do. Sometimes when you're in that depressive state, it's hard to ask for help. It's hard to want to do something because your body is like this. That's why people are depressed or like that. Their heart is closed because they feel like they are broken. And the main thing you need to do is actually just stretch and open your heart and do the physical activity towards that. So for me, it was always like when I was hitting something, I felt like there was always a solution. So for example, I use three types of example. I use a physical, mental, and a spiritual example. A physical example is I knew I was not in the best shape when I was 18 years old. I ended up training with Stan Remy, who was the #1 trainer here in Miami. So when I used to train with him, there was NBA players all around me. And just by default, I became better, right? So when I know I was depressed, I started really going into meditation and I started calming my mind down. When I was in high school, when I wanted to look into becoming a better student, I had to control my mind, right? So I started to biohack with sound and with classical music. And then when I felt I was out of purpose, I started really connected with my heart and asking for help from a higher self, the universe, God, or whatever that is for you, right? And that's like 3 ways, physical, mental, and spiritual ways to elevate yourself. And there are different antidotes or different ways that you can elevate yourself or that you can find solution to things depending on what you're going through.
Amazing. Wow. So let's get into the spiritual work. Let's talk about your book.
Of course. During COVID, I had a lot of time to myself. What happened is I was meditating every day. I was running every day. I was fasting every other day, and I was connecting so much. And I was talking to one of my friends, and I used to write a word and tell him what that word meant for me. And then I used to write this long text to him. And after a while, I'm like, whoa, like if I'm doing this for him, I feel like everyone in the world needs to hear those words. They need to hear what these words means because like it's so powerful. And so I sat down and it really felt like an idea, something came to me that needed to come to the world because it was at the time when the world needed that the most. They needed to feel connected. They needed to change the paradigm. Your life just changed overnight. And now you don't know what to do. So what do you do? Right? And so I felt that the world needed those words in order to be better. And so that book, just 30 words, 30 universal wisdom just came through. And I just felt like it needed to be helping the world.
So tell me about the book, because the book is called A Book of Words, a day, a month.
So a book of words, it's 30 words.
Okay.
It's one word for each day of the month. Because I believe that in 30 days, you don't necessarily change your life around, but you can slowly and gradually step into your next level identity. Now, if you wake up in the morning and you say to yourself, oh, today I'm going to have a beautiful day. I'm going to see beautiful things. I'm going to do the things I love. You're going to attract those things It's actually proven scientifically with the reticular activation system, which is the part of your brain that focuses on things you pay attention to. So if I tell you focus on the red car every time you go out next time, you're going to program your mind, and the program in your mind that's going to focus on that red car is the reticular activation systems. So the way you wake up in the morning is the way you can program your day, right? So if you say also, my day is going to be poop, I'm going to have no many good things, it's going to be shit, it's going to be that, then you're going to attract those things, right? So we know that the way we talk to ourselves is the way we perceive and create our own reality. So everything starts with the word. Even in the Bible, they say, in the beginning was the word, and the word was God, right? And the old sages used to say, abracadabra, I create as I speak. I've done this super fun thing with people where I actually ask them to pick a number between 1 and 30. Can you pick a number between 1 and 30?
Yeah, my favorite number is 18.
So let's go see what number 18 is.
18, better. Better is a transient state, a state that can shift from one day to the next, subject to change from one day to the next. Emerging from the shadow of illness, we often declare ourselves better. Yet the shadow of recurrence lingers. What does better truly mean in such a context? In our pursuit of improvement, believing we've achieved better can be empowering. However, the real test comes when we encounter setbacks. The crucial question is whether we can rise again. Embracing setbacks as part of the journey liberates us from fleeting nature of better. Thus, better becomes a guide rather than a definitive label, a dynamic process rather than a fixed destination. Better as a guide. I like that.
You know, it's kind of funny that you picked this word, because usually when someone picks a word and a number, it's really related to what's happening in their life. I feel like this time is the first time the word you picked is significant to the conversation we're having, because everything that led me to the spiritual world, to become closer to oneness, to the source, to my highest self, to my truth, was to just be better.
You said that word so much that was your persistence, was to be better.
To be better.
To always be better. So yes, that was for you that I picked 18.
So a funny thing has happened with the book is that I've done this with hundreds of people in Paris, in Uruguay, at the mall, at IKEA, at the club, at 2 a.m., like in the weirdest location, where I ask people to pick a number between 1 and 30. And over time, 3 things happen. Either 1, the word is telling them what they're currently living in their life for the last couple of weeks, or 2 is telling them what they need to start doing with their life, or 3, it's telling them what they've been doing their whole life. And as of now, it hasn't missed any time. And if somebody tells me it's not related to something that they're living right now, it's because they're probably not self-aware enough of what's happening in their life. Because when you've done this in Madrid, in countries, in places all over the world, in different languages, and it relates with every single person at that moment that can tell you an actual life tangible experiences that relates to that word, there's nothing I can say.
So this is beautiful. Where did the 30 words come from? And was it 1 word a day, or did you get all 30 at once?
I got a couple at a time. Then I waited a little bit. I meditated on it, and more words came through. And I wrote everything during COVID, but I didn't publish it until 2024. So actually, I had the imposter syndrome, like pretty much 99% of the world. We're afraid of sharing. Our biggest fear is afraid of sharing our truth, is public speaking, and is the judgment of others, right? And the fact that we feel that we are not enough or don't have enough authority to share what we really know, right? Because we might be shut down.
I almost want you to repeat all of that again, because I feel like people need to hear that.
Of course. So you may struggle with not feeling like you're enough. You may struggle with the fact that you're afraid of others judging you. You may be afraid of speaking your truth, and you may be afraid of acceptance.
Being seen.
Yeah, being seen for who you are.
Yeah.
Accepted for who you are, right? Being fully vulnerable for who you are. but those should not limit you, right? And that could take times, that could take process, that could take coaches and whatever, but those are the things that I'd experienced at the time I came up with it, although I was so inspired. So I didn't publish the book for 4 years. And I had a different illustration. I had a different cover. I ended up finding the right people along the journey helping me for it. And so what happened is, I'll tell you how the words came to have a number. Because what I did is I saved all of the words in my Google Drive. And one time I go to a party, and a lot of my friends are artists. They're singers, they're musicians, they are, painters. And I'm doing real estate, which is amazing, right? I do commercial real estate. I'm working on $1 million deals. It's super cool, right? In the financial world. But, in my other friend group, it's like, oh, that's cool, real estate. There's so many realtors in Miami, like, cool. What apartment are you going to try to sell me now? Like, that's not the real estate I'm doing, guys, I'll help you, like, invest your money and get dividends and blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, one time I was like, you know what? I actually wrote a book and I never published it, but I would love to share a word with you. I actually have them here. Can you pick a number between 1 and 30 and I will send you the word that is saved in that order in my Google Drive. And I give it to one person and they tell me, oh my God, this is exactly what I'm experiencing right now in my life. Then I give it to another person. Then, oh my God, this is what I'm experiencing in my life. And another, and another, and another. So after so many people, the numbers were tied to the words because of why people were asking me to pick those numbers, and it was actually giving them the words that was relating to what they experienced.
Right.
So that's how the words became the number, and the number became the words because it was saved randomly into my Google Drive.
And they weren't saved in the order that they came through?
No.
So you had the words, and at some point you always knew you wanted it to be a book?
Yeah,
and you were
I wanted
afraid
to be a book.
put it
I wanted to have a book out there because I actually had started to write a different book when I was in college. It was called Awakening, how to set yourself on the path of success while in college. Those are all the lessons I wish I knew when I first entered college. But I never published that book.
You never published that book?
No, just like there's so many people that write a lot of things and never share.
Yes.
Although they should share it.
Yes.
And so COVID happened, and then I was like, no, I have to write a book. And this came, and when it came, it was super fast, and it happened very fast. Which is another thing I want to share with the audience is when you have an idea, and they teach that a lot in business and entrepreneurship, you have to act on it very fast, especially if you feel the desire and if your heart is burning for it. Do it very fast because things would happen for you. You don't know how to explain. You're going to end up finding solution and it will be built super fast. And when I had this idea, I acted on it. So I finished the book and everything, but I never published it. And it was not until I actually connected with one of my close friends, Nicole, who had an experience with the book and it resonated with her so much. And she was telling me almost every day, Yannis, the world needs this book. You need to publish this. Like, it's not for you anymore. It's for people,
right?
Because of how much experience she had with it and she shared with other people. And I was doing the word randomly, pick a number between 1 and 30, great conversation opener. And then she helped me, put my energy, put the focus and really put back all the work towards publishing it. That's why I only published it like 4 years afterwards.
Did you self-publish?
Yes.
Audience to know that you have a book idea inside of you. It's so easy nowadays to get a book made, right? And it's amazing. For me, I almost want to randomly pick, right? Instead of picking up,
it was silence.
It went random. And every time I do, it goes to somewhere else. Now.
I like now.
Reflecting on our discussions about the future and the past, one truth emerges sharply. Only one moment truly exists. We assign names and notions to our experiences and anticipations, but they remain just that, concepts. Now is the essence of existence. It's unfolding continuously, the eternal present. In recognizing now, we come face to face with our essence. It's an inescapable reality, the stage on which we live every instant of our lives. Now is our inherent domain, the canvas of our being. In the present moment, we find the true nature of our existence. It is there that our souls submerge itself with the breath of life. Embracing the now means embracing life itself and acknowledging the power and potential within each fleeting second. I love that because I am so in the now and I am so present and I know what everything that I'm doing is now. Now is the time. Now is the time for this work. Now is the time for people like this to be out in the world and to be helping people, because beyond what you are doing personally, I want to get into now what you do aside from real estate.
Yes.
To help other people evolve into consciousness.
Yeah, for sure. So what I've realized is over the years, people were coming to me for advices. They were coming for guidance. And I had the answers. I don't know how, but I always had some kind of the right answers. And even when I finished university and I was in France for a year, I felt like I was there to reconnect with my family. But like at the time, my parents didn't have the best dynamic, right? And I was eating with dinner with them every day. And it's like, I felt like I was the therapist of the family, right? And they can tell you openly that I was that for them at that time. And so in my healing, there is another drive that came, which is that if I can do it for myself, then other people should also experience it for themselves. And so I started to work with different individuals, which started to change the whole reality around. And within 1 year, with different tools, exercises, and things we were doing together, literally shifted and started living the dream a reality, right? And so lately I've been really meditating on what is my next 5 to 10 years, because I was a lot in the now, but now I want to be in the now future or the future past, which is me projecting what I want to do, what I want to create, what intention I want to do, and taking action today for it. And so as I'm in a place of transition, I'm fully embodying my coaching, right? And my goal is to help people have massive clarity, remove mental blockages so that they can start doing the things they really want to do. They can achieve the things they really want to do, because most of the things we experience, I don't know if you've been in a place where you're doing something and you're like, I don't really want to do this. I want to do this because my mom, my dad, society is telling me what to do. And it's like, sometimes you don't even know that it's their thoughts, is their words telling you to do these things, and you're not doing something for yourself. And something happens when you start doing things for yourself, for your heart, for your soul. The world starts becoming brighter. It starts to become lighter. It starts to have colors that you have never seen before. And so my purpose, my intention is to help people live their dream reality, because we all deserve to be happy. We all deserve to have that oneness with self, with our dreams. Because I'm telling you, there's something inside of me. It's so hard to see someone in pain and not fully alive. And it's like something is stronger than me where I have to be helping. And so all the things that I had to overcome, right? So past traumas, understanding my current triggers, my current actions, understanding how is my energy diet, understanding how is my energy garbage, right? Like things that I'm recycling, not recycling. I put so much work into it for the past decade with all the books I'm reading, with all the works I'm doing, with all the healings I'm doing, that I've combined it so that people can do it for themselves. And the results are almost like impeccable, because you're diving in with yourself, and then you're removing all clusters, all the things that are stopping you from being who you really are. And we don't have those tools. And although there are people that are saying like the law of manifestation, the law of assumption, the law of, of attraction and everything, there's not a lot that is actually really, really mainstream where you can really go and dive in, that is not just woo-woo, that is also backed by science, right? I was telling you about the reticular activating system, but not a lot of people know about the reticular activating system. The reticular activating system is where your attention goes most of the time, consciously and unconsciously, right? So if you know how to control that part of your brain, then you can control your attention. And then you don't start to pay attention to things you don't want to pay attention to, right? Now you start paying attention to yourself. So now the energy, the currency starts coming in. Now abundance happens within you, So it's like all of these different things that that can help us become who we really are, creators of our own destiny.
You really are turning people's hearts into gold. You're helping them find that gold within the heart. I can see it the way you talk, that is your goal, is to help them see their gold within. Right? Because everything you're saying, in a way, it's like it's not simple, and it may sound simple, but it's saying that there's so many ways to live more aligned and happier. And you're here to help people discover that. Do you think that one day the real estate will be gone and this will be a full-time thing? Or do you think you'll always want to play in both worlds?
So right now I'm in both worlds. And so we started doing events here, transformational events in Miami, where we're bringing sound healers, we're bringing tarot readers, we did an aura reading. So we do these experiences with my partner, Nicole. And so what happened is you start to realize that people need a place to be, a location. Yes, you can do it at home, but when you have the community, when you have other peoples with you working on the same thing, then that's when something clicked in my mind. I was always meant to learn real estate because at the end of the day, the way we live is going to change over the next 10 years with AI and all these other things. And so people are going to seek for actual physical experiences that could be also spiritual, but they're going to find a way to come back to reality, because soon we're going to all be plugged into the computers, and we have the chips now with Neuralinks, we'll have all these different things. So then in the balance of how the world works, right, there's always a balance of energy, then people are going to want to experience more tangible things. And so that's why I think real estate is going to change. Wellness real estate is going to change. Is it becoming more and more popular? I mean, there's so many new places that are open. You started this a couple of years ago, you know, by creating your sanctuary here, where healer used to come. You used to have your own, you know, retreats, your own events and everything. And I think it's becoming more and more popular. I mean, now there are yoga studios that are houses, right? There are houses that are turning into wellness centers.
Yeah, and biohacking. Yeah.
And so we are moving towards that because we're going to need more and more of this in the world. So I feel like real estate is never going to disappear from my reality, but maybe the type of real estate I'm doing might change. I feel like I'm going to change into creating real estate where people can actually more heal, feel comfortable, and feel home in a place where they can feel peace.
I think that is amazing that you see that you know that, and I see it as well. I agree with you, and I think that you're right. That's why the real estate is in your life. And I think that is beautiful. And community, these community spaces, it's coming to the town near you. You may not be in Miami, you're not going to have access now, but this stuff is coming. And one thing I feel for the community of people that have been in this work, it is now time to fly. And it is now time to bring this to communities that need that. And I have a lot of friends leaving Miami. I may be one in the next couple of years, but I want to be somewhere that then I can expand, because Miami's full of this stuff, right? Let's go to places where it's not. So we can bring it to the masses. And that's why we've been held here to develop and evolve so we can spread those wings. It's beautiful.
And if you think about it, like the way I see it is like yoga, right? Now there's a yoga studios in every corners all around the world. You could be in Africa or you can be anywhere in the world. Everybody knows yoga. But why? Because there are a group of gurus that left India in the late 18th, 19th century and said that yoga is the future of the world. And they needed to bring it into the West. Now, yoga pants are like the number one pants wear in the world, you know? So it took time for these things to happen. But now look at the paradigm of society. Everyone knows about yoga. But back then, we could have think these guys are crazy. Why these guys are bringing this Eastern philosophy here? But now look at everyone today. And it's the same thing with the wellness industry. Everything related to self-development, biohacking, and then spiritual connection.
It's an evolution. It's an evolution of growth. It's an evolution of things being expansive and being available for more people. And there's so much going on in the world. We need this. We need people like you and your positivity and your curiosity, that you've lived this life in such a curious mode, and to better yourself which is bringing you to your highest purpose of helping others. And I know for you and everyone, the goal is to teach everyone to heal themselves. That's why I don't like the word healer, because we're not here to heal you. We're here to teach you how to heal yourself.
I think we all hold the keys, and the thing is, like, we have the key in a box, and the box is, I am not enough. I can't do this. I don't have the support I need. I can't. And there are so many people today that are struggling with things. I don't like the job that I'm doing. I don't like the relationship I'm in. I don't know how to escape this. I don't know how to deal with this pain. I don't know how to regulate my nervous system. I don't know how to stop the panic attacks. I don't know how to stop the depression. And they have the keys, but they need something in order to remove those layers of the box so that they can really get that key in and unlock their heart so they can really expand. And so that is one of the reasons why I created that program, because I want to help that box being removed so that people can find the key within themselves to really liberate who they are. And when they realize that we are creators, we're meant to create the life we want. We're meant to create experiences, relationships, mini us, right? And when we embody that energy, that frequency, which is the highest level, closer to love, which is authenticity, then that's when the world, the universe, whatever, rewards you.
Wow. Do you work one-on-one? You work in groups?
I do one-on-one right now.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of one-on-one, and it's very powerful.
Do you find you work with people? Is there a time frame? Is it like a 3 months?
So right now the program I built is a 8 to 12 week program.
Okay.
And we go into understanding what are really your intention, the things you really want to achieve, right? Because some intention you're working on might not be yours, right? So are you working on your intention, or are you working on the intention of somebody else, right? And an intention is the desire to achieve something. So are you working on someone's goals, or are you working on your goals, right? And after that, we're doing an audit of all the different programs and things that are running within yourself, right? Like the way you behave, the way you get triggers. We understand what are your pluses, your minuses, and how you can utilize all of this information, change it, transmute it to be the ideal person that you want to be. So for example, let's say that you're a person that wants to change job, or that desires something, right? There's a version of you that already achieved it. And that version of you that have already achieved it takes a certain amount of times to get there. And the times it takes to get there is all of the action that that person took in order to achieve it. So then it's understanding how we can align you with that version that already experienced everything, so you can jump and speed up the process at which you're achieving the things you want to achieve. And the speed at which somebody realizes whatever they're realizing is aligned with the level of surrender, acceptance, and the action they want to take towards achieving those intentions.
Keywords right there. Yeah, action. And what you're showing me is some of the things that you've said. I think there are people out there that are going to say, don't even realize that they're running programs, not even realizing the negativity. So it's beautiful to have a guide like you to help them realize those things. And I think people don't realize how much they can achieve, and that you are a co-creator with the universe. You have the ability to create your life. You're not stuck. There are people like this to help guide you to unstuck and to get to that version of yourself. And I think that's seeing it as a reality, not as a dream. You know, I want to be this, I want to do that. Well, why can't you? Mm-hmm. Because I can't. But let's remove those can'ts to the I can and see what's possible.
Mm-hmm. When you start living your dream a reality, your life is anything you want. No. So when you apply those techniques or those solutions, there's no limits to what you do. The limits is what you put on yourself. Yeah. And then you can really achieve everything. But here's the most important thing I've realized this year. If you want to be a real estate person, yes, you can. If you want to be a chemist, you can. If you want to be an author, you can, right? But there are certain things that you have a natural ability to do. And then when you align yourself with those, that's going back to what I said at the beginning, the 5 pillars of success. when you align with your purpose and what connects you to the universe, connects you to source, to your highest self, right? Which is your calling, your ikigai, then the world becomes a magnet for opportunity opening. And that's why you see a lot of people have very fast success, because they're aligned with their destiny and their purpose and they're focused on it. But most of us, we don't really know what our purpose. And I know I am in my purpose because the moment I started publishing this, I started doing sound healing, I started coaching people, more and more and more and more just come in and come in and come in. And it just happens. I'm not even thinking about it. You're attracting that frequencies, right? Because you're radiating at the level of abundance, right? And now there's even technologies that measures your frequency field, your auric field from your heart, from your torus field. And there's technology that can actually prove that the way you radiate has an effect around you, right? There's so many studies, there's so many things where you can see how the way you speak to water can change. Have you seen that experience where you have a plant and another plant and you say to one plant, I hate you, and one plant, I love you, and one of them died very fast and the other one flourished? So it's like our words carries that frequencies, and it carries the thoughts. Words are really the crystallization of thoughts. You have a lot of thoughts every day, right? But when you journal, of course, you're expressing your feelings, right? But what you do, you're materializing your thoughts on paper with ink. So you're bringing them into the three-dimensional world. You're bringing them into reality because you cannot see the mind. The mind is somewhere. You have the brain, but you cannot see the mind. When you write your thoughts, when you write your problems, you have a certain leverage. You become now master of them because they're in front of you. And you're much bigger than this little writing on your paper, although they carry such a strong energy within your mind. So the more you write, the more you express, the more you utilize your words in order to express those feelings, those emotions. That's why therapy was created, to unlock things, to let the voice out. Yeah. Writing your words, crystallizing your thoughts is the first step towards separating you from the beliefs that are stopping you from achieving the things you want. One of the things I do, I've never heard it before, is called rewriting your past. So we go back in and we change your past. And when you change your past, you change your present and you change your future. If you change the perception you have with something and change the way your nervous system feels about it, then the next time you encounter that thing, it will not be the same. If your ancestors didn't have to deal with wild beast animals, if you came across a lion, right, and you didn't know within your nervous system, within your DNA, because it's already programmed within you, it's at the DNA level, that the lion is dangerous, maybe you just might think it's a big, beautiful cat, you might want to go and pet it. And it might bite you, might eat you, and somebody might watch you, and then that's where that program comes from. Oh, we got to be careful with lions, right? For some of the beliefs and some of the things we're experiencing now cause the trauma that we didn't perceive the right way, right? And then we've overcome them because we're still alive. We're still doing things. We still have achieved so many things, but they're still here around us, lingering in our aura, right? Triggering us at times. So if we can change that, transmute that, and bring it into a new reality, then whenever those triggers happens, it will not be the same.
What's so unbelievable is that there's so many helpful tools out there and the problems are the same and people don't realize it and they don't see this, and that they are telling themselves stories about their past that's creating their present, which will affect their future. So we have to undo to come into that pure presence to create the future that we want. Is there anything you want to get into that we haven't?
Okay. So earlier, there's one thing we're talking about, right? People experiencing different things, right? And what I want to talk about is about community right now, because I feel like we're moving in a place where community is becoming more and more important, knowing that you're not alone, right? And so what happens is when we don't share, we don't express ourselves, we don't open our hearts, right? We create separation with others because we keep the walls around us. But we fail to understand that we are living the same experience. And I'll tell you why. Because when you fear, you fear. When I fear, I fear. Whether you fear because you see a snake or I fear because I'm going to have a bad grade, I still feel the same feeling you're feeling. And some people have more traumatic experiences in terms of like uniqueness in which they happen. Some people lose parents, some people see things that, not everyone see, right? But the trauma is still the same trauma. So like if you have the fear of losing your pet or the fear of losing your parent or the fear of losing your watch, is the same fear of losing something. Although it is representing in the three-dimensional world, in our reality differently. It may hold the same energy and intensity within our body. But if we then understood that we live the same experiences, we'll start to have more compassion for one another. Yeah. And then we're going to start to have more compassion for ourselves. And then we're going to have less separation. And the less separated we are, the stronger we can come together. And the stronger we come together, the faster, the more powerful we are into our healing, into our embodiment of who we really want to be. And that's why over the years, the big corporation or the big government or like the dictatorships always wanted to separate people because they didn't want them to be strong together. And they made them feel that they didn't experience reality the same way, although it's all the same.
Yeah. So that separation that has happened, and we all know there's so much separation in the world. Our hope and our goal is to bring people together and to create communities. Okay. So I want to thank you for sharing everything that you shared. And there was one point very early on where you talked about wanting people to know they're not alone. So my goal here is to have everybody know that they are not alone. There are so many people in the world facing what you faced, and we're here to help. We're here to bring together. But you have to be open and ready. You have to be open. You have to accept that there is something else out there for you, that life can be beautiful. So on the SageFull Living podcast, I love to have people share with us, how do you live your life aligned? What are some of your daily practices to keep you in alignment?
Of course. Wow. So my perfect day has a lot of nature. So it's waking up, watching the sun, the sunset, the beach. It's a lot of dancing, a lot of singing. Vibrations, sounds are the most powerful things to shift your energy and to shift your mind. It changes your brainwaves depending on which sounds you're listening to. Journaling, talking to my family, but it's really following my 5 pillars of success. Always do something that has my purpose in it. So this is sharing my purpose with the world. It's always doing something that's beneficial for my body. So working out, whether it's running, going to the gym, swimming, playing paddle, whatever it may be. Anything for the mind, reading something or expanding my mind to new discoveries. For my soul, so anything that's related to me, connected to God, to service, to the world, to things where I can expand and connect. Then it's my social and my environment. Going to nice places. I love being surrounded with, nature, but also I love being surrounded with luxury and with arts and with things that actually triggers your mind to have more thoughts, things you never thought about before. And friends, and you need to be surrounded with good people. You're the byproduct of the 5 people you're spending the most time with. So environment is the key. And my soul, my passions.
Why do I feel that you get more than 24 hours out of a day?
It feels like it, but I feel like I'm not getting enough stuff done.
You've been on such a beautiful journey, and I feel like you are one of the most conscious people I've met, because I feel like you have been living consciously your entire life. And this is where we want to be, people. We want to be living with that thought and that consciousness, not just getting through every day, because life is bigger and we're here. So we have to live this life. We chose to be in this life. And if we chose or not, we're here. We got to make the most of it and continue to find that purpose. Continue to try to find your purpose step by step.
And I wanted to thank you for having me and also for creating this vessel, this container to share, to inspire people, to be of service to. It's just one episode or one sentence or one guest can change someone's life.
Exactly.
And just that can have a ripples effect, because if one life is changed, that person might change 10 other lives behind and 10 more. So thank you for having us in your beautiful sanctuary.
Thank you.
I feel the peace and the smell, incredible smell. So thank you.
You want to play the bowl?
So I actually can play the bowl with my mouth. I want you to close your eyes and actually feel the frequencies. I'm going to guide you through a mini sound healing with my voice. Take a deep breath in and exhale out. Relax your shoulders, your hips, your legs, your hands, your knees, your head, your eyes. On the next deep breath, I want you to hold for 5 seconds. So let's take a deep breath in and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fully exhale. Relax your chest, lower back, your ears, your ankles, your fingers, your toes. And on the next big inhale, I want you to visualize a beautiful white light from the center of the world, a Mother Earth, the creation, wherever everything comes from. And you're going to see that light penetrating your feet all the way to the top of your head. And when you're going to hold that breath, your body is going to become wider and lighter and lighter. So let's take a deep breath in, visualizing that white light entering the bottom of your feet all the way to the top of your head. And you hold for 5, you become brighter. 3, 2, 1. And now, just focus on the sound. And now let's take one deep breath in and ground the energies and exhale out. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. Thank you.
Thank you.